Hi everyone, welcome back to the Gallowgateshots YouTube channel and welcome back to some of our pre-season video content. Today's video we are going to be going through the current crop of Newcastle United players and seeing who we should keep, who we should sell and who we should loan. It's Scott here, that you may have seen on Extra Time and the Football Manager videos. I'm joined tonight by Mark. Mark, how are you?
I'm good, Scott. It's a lovely way to spend an evening.
Yes, lovely way to spend a Saturday evening indeed. I'm also joined, just below Mark there, by Kris. Kris, how are you today?
Hi, it's good to be a guest on these things rather than hosting it. So the batton's been passed to you, Scott. So hit it out of the park, mate.
Yes, I'll try my very best, but I doubt I'll do as well as anyone else.
I'm going to be judging you every step of it. Don't worry.
And we're also joined by Iain, who's cooking up a storm in his kitchen. How are you doing, Iain?
Very, very warm. There's literally no ovens or anything on. It's just very, very warm.
I mean, you have got a big hoodie on as well, like so.
And I'm near the equator, so just Newton Aycliffe, like it's only 40 miles closer, but still, you can feel the difference.
You can feel the difference.
Been a warm old day today, hasn't it?
It's been a funny old day. Had every season going.
I don't know, because it's just been hot and sunny here. Been in a different time zone and that. Anyways, it was announced last night, I think, or the night before by Mr. Craig Hope that Newcastle are looking to take stock of their current crop of players once they all come back from their holidays and international duty and whatnot. And I believe everyone's going to be back by Wednesday this week, from what we've seen. So we thought we would take stock as well. And what we've done, we've used the internet's favourite ranking system, Tier Maker, and we're going to go through and we're going to be a bit brutal. But the idea of this is for this current season. Obviously, a lot of these players we would like to sell eventually, but it is, do we need them next season? Do we not need them? Can we move them on? So, with a little bit of camera trickery, we are now in the game. So, we're going to start with the goalkeepers. I'm going to start with Martin Dubravka. And I'm going to pass it to you, Iain. Just your thoughts on Dubravka's season last year, and your thoughts on next season.
Last season, I mean, Dubravka's a really, really good goalkeeper. He obviously has quite a few mistakes in him. As well, I don't know what it is with Newcastle, but we always seem to get a decent goalkeeper, but very injury prone. So obviously he missed the start of the season, but I thought, again, fairly solid. There was a couple of games where there was a few goals that he was to blame for, but I genuinely think obviously with the addition to Nick Pope, it's one of them for first choice goalkeeper. So for me, I would dive in straight in.
We can do, yeah. We can all have a little vote, and then whatever happens. For
me, with Dubravka and with the other goalkeepers you've got there, you keep Dubravka. He's not a bad goalkeeper. I think he's 34 now.
Yeah.
So it's kind of he's wind down years. I think another season definitely. He's got another season to definitely challenge for number one and sort of instill that good competition with the addition to Nick Pope as well.
He's still under contract till 2025 as well, so it might be a bit tougher getting rid of him anyway if we were ever considering it. But something I was going to pick up on is it is a World Cup season, and he obviously is a regular international. Is he going to be happy potentially being second fiddle? Mark, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, you're talking there about the second fiddle. His agents came out in the press today talking about his future and stuff like that, and that he's kind of wanting to stay at the club, but make sure that he's still the number one. And if that's looking unlikely, then there's lots of kind of interest in him and stuff like that from the 5 top leagues, and then they also chucked in the MLS there, which I thought was a bit random to get that one in, but. He's still a very, very good keeper, isn't he? You know, we know he's had a couple of games last season where things haven't gone swimmingly for him, and he's ended up chucking one in the back of the net, or letting one get by him relatively easy as it looks. But a lot of keepers, have that.
Yep.
Top keepers will have the same thing where they have 2 or 3 games a season where things just don't go to plan. I think having him and Pope is fantastic in the situation that we're in, and I think it would be crazy to even consider kind of letting them go. Yes, it's obviously going to be up to him to want to stay and fight for that position.
Yep.
I think he's got that about him. He's not going to just chuck it in and say, well, if I'm not guaranteed to be number one, I'm going to be away, because I just don't think he's that kind of character. So I'd happily like to see him stay, and I think he will.
So I think we're all in agreement, unless Kris, you have any other thing to say here, that we'll be keeping Dubravka for at least next season, and then taking stock again.
I think some fans have been a bit too harsh on Dubravka.
Yeah.
Since Paul came in, a lot of fans thinking, Dubravka gets dropped straight away. I think both goalkeepers are probably being told that they're challenging for that number one spot, and it's nobody's as of yet. So I think Dubravka will still be here for a couple of years. Yes, I don't think it's a case where like you said, he's in contract for the next 3 years.
Yep.
I think you'll probably see that go down in one final year before he even looks at going elsewhere.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously, like Ian said, he's 34, so it could just be that he ends up actually eventually retiring with us, and he doesn't get a contract, or he gets a year extension. So we'll put Dubravka in keep. I think we're all in agreement there. Let's move on to another.
34 is not a massive age for goalkeepers. Like, obviously when you're talking about outfield players, once they kind of hit 30 and stuff like that, people start writing them off. But goalkeepers go on for a long, long time, because obviously they're not having to, run around the pitch as much. It's more down to kind of the reflexes and stuff like that. There's a lot of top goalkeepers go on to play, up until they're knocking on the door of 40. So I think it's probably around about that period of the kind of 30 up to 34 where he is those kind of peak years for a goalkeeper. Mm-hmm. So I think he's still got plenty of life in the old dog yet.
Let's remember, Dubravka might not want to leave.
That's also true.
Like you said, Dubravka might want to, like Scott said, end his career at Newcastle, or at least the latter years of his career. For all we know, he's got kids here that are going to school and things like that, so he might be thinking of their future rather than his future now. Yep. Mm-hmm. Thinking, well, you'll stay here for the next X amount of years, but I don't think Dubravka's going anywhere anytime soon.
No, I think we're all agreed there. So moving on to the next goalkeeper in the list, and that is one Carl Darlow. Obviously featured a little bit for us at the start of the season. Didn't have the best of times. Maybe it was a bit up and down. I'll come to you, Kris, on Darlow. What are your thoughts on him?
I think he needs to go. I don't think it's a loan. I think it's sell. I think Darlow will want first team football. Yes, he had it at the start last season. He done all right. Nothing special. But I think for his career, I think he has to go elsewhere. Like, he's not as young as what people think either, is he?
I think he's about 30. Yeah. I think he's the same age as Nick Pope.
I remember when he signed, it was like, this young goalkeeper, and then it was, hang on a minute, he's actually...
That was 7 years ago.
I know, yeah. It just flies, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a no-brainer. I think he'll be gone. I think he'll be knocking on the door. I think Eddie Howe's probably already had the conversation with him, saying that he's not really going to get much game time this season. So if he wants sort of some match time, then he has to go. He can't stay at the club. He can't be third choice.
I totally agree. I think, Darlow is a sell. You had a great season in the Championship, and he's had, a few good performances here and there. But I think when Dubravka came in, we saw there was actually a gulf in quality between him and a top or a better keeper. And I think now we've got Nick Pope, we might even see that gulf getting a bit bigger. So for me, it's a sell. Ian, your thoughts?
I'm not too sure on this one because this 25-man squad, I can't remember how many goalkeepers we had. I think, didn't we have 4 last season?
We had 4, yeah. There was him, Dubravka, Gillespie and Woodman.
Woodman, yeah.
Looking at Chris's point of view, I think personally from his perspective as a player, he'll want to go. In terms of quality, if you're looking at the best 3 keepers out of the 4 that we've got, it would be obviously Dubravka, Pope and Darlow. I don't really rate Gillespie. But then at the same time, like, you're not really going to have 3 keepers vying for one spot, if that makes sense. So
you normally have a big gulf and a big gap between your second and your
third.
Yeah.
So looking at it from, like I say, Chris's point, I would probably say sell. Just because, like I say, I don't think there's a need to have 3 keepers vying for the first spot. So yeah, I'm in agreement.
So Darlow is actually 31. And he's also under contract till 2025, so the same as Dubravka. So, Mark, is it a sell for you as well?
Yeah, I think realistically, he's got to go, doesn't he? I mean, as Kris is saying, from his point of view, at the age of 31, you want to be playing football. He's had a lot of taste of it the last couple of seasons. See, the championship season, he was kind of our number one keeper for a lot of the time. So yeah, at that level, he's pretty good. He's a good championship level goalkeeper. So I could see him. I know he's been linked a lot with Borough of late. So you could see him going if he's wanting to stay kind of in the area within the northeast. Then it would make sense for him to go down there, still play a good level of football. Yeah, I think he's not going to get a game. It's definitely going to be between Dubravka and Pope for that number 1 and number 2 slot.
Yeah.
Is he going to be happy sitting as a number 3? I very much doubt it. So he'll be wanting to at least go out on loan, I would imagine. But I think given his age, given the contract length that he's got, he probably has got a bit of value in him because he has got that experience of playing games in the Premier League and in the Championship. So I can see, although it'll not be a huge amount of money, I can see us cashing in on him and getting a bit of money back for him and letting him go on with his career.
Yep, I'm also in agreement. So I think we can all unanimously say that we would sell Darlow. And one of the reasons for that, and I've just actually looked at this as I've been looking for the next keeper we're going to talk about with Gillespie. Gillespie, his contract expires next season, so he's only got a year left, so he can go on a free after the season. So I would imagine Gillespie would be the one we'd keep hold of and then maybe let his contract run out or give him a cheeky 1-year renewal. I haven't seen much of Gillespie because we don't really get the cup games over here that much, and they're very rarely on stream. I think that's he's only really featured for maybe, was it once or twice in the Premiership last season? I don't even think he did at all. It might have just been in the cups.
He didn't get it. I don't think he got any games in the Premier League.
He played in the
cups, though, didn't he?
I think he played in one of the cup games, maybe.
Got knocked out first round, didn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Oh no, it wasn't. It was Woodman played in that because I remember the first 3 games of the season, because obviously it ended in a penalty shootout. He faced some ridiculous 8 or 9 penalties in the first 3 games.
Yeah.
So for me, for Gillespie, it was a weird signing to begin with, wasn't it? Like when we brought him in, I was kind of like, hang on a minute, we've got Woodman, we've got Darlow, we've got Dubravka, and we've probably got a youngster who we can stick on the bench if we need to. This just seemed like a homecoming for a Geordie to kind of get back up here.
Concerns, Scott, if I remember right, because we had Dubravka injured, we had Darlow injured, hence why Woodman started the season. Yeah. Hence why we had 4 goalkeepers in there overall, because with 2 first-choice goalkeepers were both injured at the time. And I think that's why we physically had to bring somebody in, because we would have just had 1 fit goalkeeper. Yeah. He was on the bench at the very start of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. So for me, with Gillespie, I think we'll keep him just because he's got a year left. I don't think we'll get any fee from him even if we wanted to sell him. And I don't think he's going to go on loan anywhere. Anyone disagree with that?
I think what we need to make clear on here, this is not necessarily what we want to happen.
Yes.
This is what we believe is going to happen. But we're not sitting here saying, keep Gillespie. Ideally, you would want what Ian had said, that you would want Darlow as your 3rd choice keeper, but that's just unrealistic. Gillespie will stay.
Gillespie came as a 3rd choice goalkeeper. Yeah. That's what his expectations are. He's happy to be back at the club. He's a boyhood fan. We've let Dan Langley go out on loan. He's joined Gateshead today on a season-long loan. Obviously, Woodman's left. He's gone to Preston North End. So we are now down to 4 keepers, and the bottom of that list will be Gillespie.
Yeah.
And I think he's happy with that. He's went up to Scotland, played a lot of his career up there, and it's just a case of him being back home. He's back in the northeast. He's back at his boyhood club. He's just happy to be there and make up the numbers.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah,
Ian, any final words on Gillespie?
No, not really.
No?
I'd just echo what everyone else has said. Like you say, he is the third choice keeper, and it's what he was brought in for. So
putting him in keep. Excellent.
He seems to be liked as well in the dressing room as well. I noticed in the training video that was released of the first day back, he was kind of in there. He came to work with Paul Dummett. The car shared in and stuff like that. So that he's
they were good mates growing up, weren't they? Apparently,
that's it. Yeah. So one of those ones where it's good to have about the place.
Absolutely. Okay, so that's the goalkeepers out of the way with. Obviously, Nick Pope I haven't included here because we have just signed him recently, so I think it's a given. We'll probably keep him for next season, I would have thought. We'll loan him out. We'll loan him back. You'd love that. But moving on to the defenders, and I think this is where we may get less unanimous decisions on this, but also when I was putting this together, how many defenders have we got? This entire top row, apart from Bruno there on the end, we are overrun with defenders. They're all defenders, yeah. Wow. I mean, I'm including Matt Ritchie.
Seasons ago, by the looks of it, mate.
So these pictures are from the Newcastle website, and that's Callan Watts. And I thought he had the new kit on, and it's not. It's the one from 2 seasons ago.
Cal Watts.
Cal Watts, aye. It's a Puma top.
Video as well.
He was doing his jumps and everything, wasn't he? So,
who's first up, Scott? Who we're getting rid of first?
Current captain Jamal Lascelles. Wow. I'll come to you first on this one, Mark. What are your thoughts on Jamal last season, and what are your thoughts on what we might do with him this season?
I think realistically, he's not going to get a lot of minutes. You would expect as we're kind of going into this new season. It's what we saw last season as well. I mean, on the podcast, we've talked about Jamal Lascelles for God. It seems to be probably bar the first couple of seasons that he was here. We'll go through phases with him of like, God, he's terrible. He's been absolutely horrendous, and then he'll come back in and he'll start playing well, and it's like, maybe he's not as bad as he was, and then he'll go off the boil a little bit, and he's very, very up and down. I think he's obviously well respected within the dressing room as well, and has a voice there. He carries himself very well when you see him, in the media and stuff like that, in the captain's role. He's probably limited in his talent. When you look at what we've got there available now, I can't see him getting a lot of game time, but I don't think he'll want to leave. I don't think he'll want to go and leave. I think we'll keep him just as a bit of a squad player, just to keep there because he is club captain. We need to have probably 5-6 central defenders. Maybe we need at least 4 to make sure that we've got the cover there. So I think would I be sad to see him go? Kind of, because of what he's gave to the club in the time that he's been here, the fact that he is the captain, but we are kind of moving and trying to improve in those places. So that's why I can't see him playing a big part, but I'd probably still keep him just as a bit of backup.
Yeah, he's got 2 years left of his contract, has Lascelles. Ian, is this the sort of player you would keep and then maybe look to give an extension for a year or 2, like what we did similar to Share this season?
I think definitely agree with Mark. I think keep him as a squad player for this season. And then obviously it just depends on sort of recruitment going forward in the next window or 2. In terms of, obviously, like Mark was saying, he's been sort of the club captain, he's been a leader. I felt this season, especially when times were hard, or particularly when times were hard, he wasn't coming out and fronting up like he used to. But again, it completely depends on how Eddie Howe's going to approach the season with formations. If he's going to keep a back 4, or if he's going to go 3 at the back. If he's going 3 at the back, you obviously need a few more bodies to sort of in terms of depth. It's a difficult one because without being, obviously, we see on Extra Time a lot, it's trying not to be sentimental, but he was a really good player in the Championship. He's obviously, he's got a bit of leadership about him. I think probably keep him, but I don't think he'll get an extension. I think he'll either be sold next season or he'll go on a free. But for this season, keep him as a squad player.
Yeah. Chris, are you in agreement with the other two?
Yeah, I think Lascelles will drop into the role of what we saw with Kieran Clark and Federico Fernandez. I think he's going to be fourth choice defender now. You're going to have Fabian Dan Burn ahead of him. Obviously, Botman's just came in.
Yeah.
So there's three centre defenders straight ahead of Lascelles. So once again, it comes down to what Lascelles wants. If he wants game time, he has to look at move. You might not get another opportunity just to go to a half decent team in the Championship. I don't think he'll get a move to another Premier League team unless it's a newly promoted one. He's guaranteed a starting spot in most Championship squads. I fully believe that, but I think he'll lose the captaincy as well. I think they'll take it off him. I think I'm a big believer that your captain should be on the field majority of the season.
Absolutely,
if not every single minute of the season. I think Lascelles will drop massively down the pecking order. He already did last season. So with the arrival of Botman, he's just going to go further down.
I don't necessarily think they'll take the captaincy off him. I think they'll probably keep him as club captain.
Drop him to vice. I think they might drop him to vice captain. Maybe.
Yeah, I think he will. I think Trippier will get it, or Shelby.
Well, I think
if Lascelles got anything about him, I think Lascelles should be going up to the likes of Eddie Howe and going, right, if I'm not going to be part of your plans for starting 11 and things like that, it's only right that the captain's armband gets handed over to somebody else that is going to be a part of that.
Totally agree. I think for me, Lascelles, if a team comes in and puts an offer, I think you accept it. Like, I think he's one of those players who is a bit disposable, but if he stays, it's not the end of the world. Like, he's not a bad backup to have. Someone to come on the bench, that sort of stuff. We're also assuming that Eddie Howe's going to play the same formation next season. I mean, if you look at the defenders he's got, we've got Dan Burn and Botman, who are both left-footed. I can't see him dropping either of those. I mean, if Botman comes in, hits the ground running, that is, of course. Does he go for a three at the back with two wing-backs and play three centre-backs? Who knows what's going to happen next season?
Well, we had to rely on a lot of defenders last season. And that's probably at the start that you said there's a lot of defenders in there. There was times where Fernandez was getting his game time, Kieran Clark was getting game time, and it all depends what happens in the season. But it's a tricky one. But he'll stay. Yeah, I think he'll definitely stay. But I just don't know. It depends what he wants to do. If he wants to be a part of the project, I fully understand where Mark's coming from, and I agree with him that he will want to be a part of this, and he's probably having a proud moment thinking, no, I can be a part of this, I can win my starting position back. But I think it's dreamland that, like. Yeah.
Well, I've put him in keep. I don't know if anyone has any objections to that. I think we've all kind of unanimously said that we would probably have him kept. The only thing I would say is, obviously he's 28. If a club came into him, I think he might want to go and be like, look, this is probably my last chance to make a dent somewhere. I'll be off. But I also think if no one comes in, it wouldn't be the end of the world for him, and he wouldn't mind staying. Moving on, the next...
If Nottingham Forest came,
I was just about to say that, yeah.
I go back to Forest. Newly
promoted, yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, well, they're not getting Darlow, are they? Because they've just signed Henderson. So maybe they need a centre-back. Burnley need a couple of centre-backs as well, with Tarkowski and me going as well. You'd probably do a good job there as well.
Yeah.
Cool. We'll move on. We'll talk about Jamal Lewis. Chris, I'll come to you for Jamal Lewis on this one. Obviously, last season, didn't even make the squad after Christmas. Injured, which no one really knew about. What are your thoughts on that?
It's a hard one because we haven't really seen much of him, and the times that we have seen him play, it's a flip of a coin performance. You'll either get a half decent one out of him or pretty pitiful. So it's a really hard one to judge. I think, does he deserve another chance? Of course he does. Is he going to be starting ahead of Target and Paul Dummett, who just got a contract extension? Probably not.
Whoa.
No, I think he should.
Whoa.
I think he should, because
Can we separate those two players?
Well, you know my opinion on Paul Dummett.
Oh, yeah.
I honestly think Lewis should start ahead of Dummett, but why are you giving him a contract extension if that's the case? I don't get that. I will give him another chance. I think we might actually look at loaning him out, but I don't think he wants to leave. I don't think he does. So I think he'll still be a part of next season.
I think there's definitely a player there. I mean, if Klopp was going for him and all those years ago, if the rumours are to be told, then there's definitely something there. And I think he's had a bit of bad management in the past. I think we saw that in a lot of players. I'd like to see what he can do under Eddie Howe, because I think Eddie Howe could probably bring out what we saw of him at Norwich and then some as well, and unlock that next level. Again, like we've seen Eddie Howe done.
Some of these players, isn't it, when they've had Steve Bruce as well.
For me, I would look to maybe loan Lewis. He's 24, so he's still got a lot of years ahead of him, especially for a defender. He is under contract until 2025 as well, so a season out on loan could be good for him and could be good for us from the squad level. The question is then, when he comes back, does he think, right, I've had half a season not even in the squad, I've had a season on loan, I'm off? Like, is that his mindset? I don't know. Ian, what are your thoughts on Lewis?
I very much agree with Chris. He's a very 50-50 player. He either has an absolute stinker or he looks fairly solid. He just hasn't had enough game time. I would look to loan him out. Again, though, you want him to be able to prove himself in the Premier League, and would he get in many Premier League sides other than the ones near the bottom? I don't know. I don't know if he's that good. But like you say, if he does get loaned out, he's still got 3 years on his contract. You would look at them next season to be a very solid backup, but I just think he needs a lot more game time. And obviously, with the signing Target, he's not getting in ahead of Target. I agree again with Chris in terms of the pecking order. I believe he would be sort of backup. But then it's a case of him, is he happy with being backup? But for me, I would loan him out, maybe to a lower side in the Premier League or a team in the Championship, and have a full season of show what he can do.
Yeah, I agree there. So that's 2 votes for loan. Chris, would you say you would keep him, didn't you?
Yeah, we'll keep him, yeah.
Mark, keep, loan or sell?
It's a no-brainer for me. Keep him. He's not going to be first choice left back. There's no doubt that Target's going to be your man. That's going to be straight in there. But he's still young. He's 24-year-old. He had a reputation when he came. Yes, his first season wasn't great when he arrived. He started off well, and then things kind of took a bit of a downward spiral. Last season, when he actually came into the team, he was playing well.
Yeah,
he was starting to put performances together and doing well, and then he went and, I think if I remember right, he picked up a bit of a knock and then kind of missed a couple of games, and then obviously we brought in Target in the January, and then that was the kind of the end of it for him. And then obviously it came about that he had been struggling with the injury for a little bit, but
he had surgeries, Mark. I think the club announced that he had a couple of surgeries, some surgeries, didn't he?
For me, he's got to be your second choice left back there, because as you say, your next step after that is Paul Dummett, and he's been a loyal servant to the club. Whenever he comes in, he's reliable. He gets on with the job, but he's not a young lad anymore. He never used to get up that pitch and support at the best of times, let alone now after the injury problems that he's had. He missed 99% of last season because of injuries. The renewing of his contract was just a strange one for me, but it's, I don't know, Lewis has got to go in there ahead of him, and you've got to look at the squad. Is he probably the next best left back available at the club after Target? Yes, therefore we'll keep him.
Yeah, it's worth noting that both Dan Burn and Sven Botman can also play left back. Maybe he's not on the wing as much, and Manquillo as well. So in terms of that pecking order, I don't think it's as a 3-horse race as we all maybe think when you just look at position on the squad sheet. But obviously you want someone who's a bit more versed then as I can do it if absolutely needed. I think I'm going to...
Trippier can play there. Manquillo can play there.
Yeah, obviously Trippier as well, yeah.
But it's not their position.
Yeah.
You just, you're putting a square peg in a round hole, aren't you? So yes, they'll go there and they'll do a job, but...
Yeah, and I think, Mark, both you and Chris have convinced us to actually change mine to keep, and I'm sorry, Ian, but and it's simply because if Target gets injured, I would rather have Lewis than Dummett, yeah? Okay, then.
I wish it was in people's minds in the last bloody Tianaker we did.
Die Hard is not a Christmas movie, or is it? No, we'll not go that way.
Definitely not.
Right, Manquillo. Mark, I'll come back to you on this one. He had a bit of a decent start, but he kind of became third in favour. Yeah. And I don't think it was through any fault of his own.
No, this one's a head and a heart one for me, because if I'm thinking with my heart and thinking, the player that he is, I'd keep him just for that, because I think he's versatile. He gives you everything. Every time he goes into that team, he does a job for us. If I think realistically about it, he's not going to get much game time. Your first choice right back's going to be Trippier. Kraft played fantastically last season, so you've got to think, he's going to be your second choice. So it kind of then starts pushing Manquillo down the pecking order, and it's is he going to, be wanting to just hang around in the hope of maybe Trippier picking up an injury and, battling it out with Kraft to get into there. And I cannot see him sticking around to do it. So I think he'll be a one that'll not necessarily want to leave, but probably making a decision from a head point of view that he needs to go. Maybe he goes back to Spain, goes back there, gets back into his home country, joins a La Liga team and has a couple of seasons there. But again, he's been a fantastic servant. I'd be more than happy to keep him at the club, but we've got a squad to keep, strong, and we've got limited numbers. He's got some value there because of he's a proven Premier League defender. He's done it at 3 clubs and Sunderland. So
yeah,
let's let him go.
Yeah, I mean, we paid $4.5 million for him. So, Ian, if we got anywhere near that, would you be happy, or would you be expecting a bit more for Manquillo?
No, I think between 3 to 5 million is probably where he is. If you had asked us this question at the start of last season, it would have been a no-brainer. Obviously, if we had Trippier and then you had asked us that, it's literally just Emil Kraft's transformation that's changed my mind. Again, I agree with everything Mark said. He's been a very good servant. He's always give 100% when he's been on the pitch. He's not a bad football player at all. If you're looking at versatility, obviously he can play on the left, but then as a sort of looking just depth in the squad as a backup, Emil Kraft can do a job at right back, centre half, possibly left back. And I think Emil Kraft's definitely warranted sticking around. So sadly, I would sell him if the right offer came in, 3 to 5 million. I would sell.
Chris, are you in agreement with the sell?
I don't even think they'll need the right offer, to be fair. I think if any offer comes in, they'll take a serious look at it. Couple of million, they'll take a look. He's 28 now. I'm similar to Mark. I like Manquillo. I really do. I've grown to like Manquillo. I think he's a type of player in the future where you'll look back at it and it'll split decision. There'll be a lot of fans that'll be like, oh, Manquillo was shite, wasn't he? But then after looking, taking a little bit more attention to it, you'll think, he wasn't that bad. He was all right. He probably shut a lot of critics up because he's had some really good performances for this football club. But I think he'll go. I don't think, like everybody said, Kraft is ahead of him. His transformation at the end of last season, fantastic. I think he'll be gone.
Yeah, I am in agreement there. I think we're all in agreement that if an offer comes in, we would sell him. I don't even think a loan would be an option. I don't think he would take a loan. I think maybe it's a loan with an obligation to buy or an option to buy, but I think for us it would have to be with a covering 100% of wages at least, or a nice monthly fee for that. Okay, moving on. Federico Fernandez, a favourite of the podcast, and I think we're all fan favourites of this. I'm not sure about your opinion on him, Ian. I haven't really spoken to you about him, but for me, Fernandez, he's one of those players that, had we not brought in who we've brought in Byrne and Botman, and even kind of, the transformation of Fabian Schär towards the end of last season, he would be someone who I would say keep. But if we are keeping ourselves, I think Fernandez, unfortunately, is a bit further down the pecking order in terms of character. I think he's a better player than Lascelles, personally, or it's 50-50, flip of a coin who has a good game, bad game. For me, I would look to sell him. I think he's out of favour with some of the backroom staff, and I think that's why he hasn't. Maybe he's been getting games when even he's been on the bench and he should have come on. He hasn't, and it's a weird one. But for me, I would look to sell him. I would look to cash in on Fernandez. I think we only paid around $6 million for him, if I remember rightly, at the time. So. Yeah, I think, he's been a good servant to the club, but I think his time is well and truly up, given that, I mean, in January, we're looking at bringing in 2 centre-backs, weren't we? So I don't think he's got a place in the side. Ian, like I said, I don't know your thoughts on Fernandez, so this will be interesting.
I really, really like them. I thought, as a centre-half, he was probably, at the time, when he was sort of consistently playing, probably our best centre-half. But like you say, it looks like he's fell out of favour massively with whoever within the management. I was actually surprised. It was the quiz that Kris and Roger did. I didn't realise he was. I'm sure he was the captain on the first game of the season.
Yeah, West Ham game.
Yeah, that was one of the only one in the first 15 questions I got wrong on that. By the way, playing along at all. But yeah, he's obviously a leader. Footballing ability, he is a good, solid defender. But again, if you look at his age, I think he's 32 maybe. And you look at the players that they brought in, he's right down the pecking order. It would be a no-brainer to sell him. Even, I don't know, if you're talking sort of $1 million and a half, I think he would probably just get rid of him, unfortunately. But like I say, I did really, really like Fernandez and his time at the club, because I really liked him at Swansea, to be honest. I thought when we signed him, very, very sort of solid signing, very sensible signing. But I think it's just time he moved on, unfortunately.
Yeah, he's not on my list actually that I've got up here for contracts. So I don't know how long he's got left on his contract.
Got a year left.
Just a year.
Last year of his season. 33-year-old. This is heartbreaking for me, because I absolutely love Fede Fernandez. I think he's absolutely brilliant. He's been a great player for us. He's had a great career. He was brilliant at Swansea. The main thing that stuck out for me in the training video that came out yesterday was Fede Fernandez. Yep. When he got out of his car and arrived at the training ground, he was shaking every single person's hand, going up to them, talking to them. And that just shows you the character of the man. He's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant. The issue is his age. Something's gone on behind the scenes, because I can't for the life of me understand how he wasn't getting games last season, kind of around the Christmas time and stuff like that. There was rumours of him having a fallout with Graham Jones, obviously, when he took over.
He wasn't even making the bench sometimes.
Well, that's it. And we sat week after week saying, how isn't Fede Fernandez in this team? Because as Ian's just been saying there, he was without doubt the best central defender that we had at that time in the club. So, but it's with a heavy heart that I can see us selling him, because he is in that last year of his contract. He's 33-year-old. He's not going to have long left. So I can see us letting him go away for a smallish fee, just to get something in for him before he kind of walks away at the end of the season. But he's another one that will go with my undying love and respect.
Yeah, Kris, are you in agreement?
Everything what Mark said. Fede was my favourite player at one time at this football club. I think like Mark said, was a bit harsh last season, how he wasn't getting game time when he came in and had great games. Was it the Norwich game that he had an absolute blinder when Clark got sent off? Had an absolute blinder of a game.
Just dropped the next game.
The next game dropped. I don't even think he made the bench the next game. It was a weird scenario. Nobody still knows what's really gone on behind the scenes. And Mark mentioned taking the time out to shake everybody's hand. It was telling when Amanda Stavely and Meredith was shown around the training ground, the facilities. He was the one standing there looking like the club captain. He was the one in every single photo, every single video clip that was saw. It was like he was guiding them around, really, and introducing them to everybody at the club. So God knows what's happened, because Eddie Howe keeps on saying he's a great professional and only speaks great words about him. He doesn't really like to sidestep the situation in the conversation. So God knows, but he's gone. He's not going to be here next season.
Yeah, I think we're all in agreement with that, and it is a shame. But unfortunately, I think he will go. Someone who, moving on, I think, had you asked us this up to Christmas last year, we would have probably all put him in the sell pile straight away, is Emil Kraft. And Iain, I'll come to you. What a transformation. Probably the second best one at the club last season.
I was just about to say it. Other than Joe Linton, he's turned from someone that looked like he's won a competition to play in the Premier League to looking like Cafu. He's maybe he's not that good, but he came in. My thing with Emil Kraft is his effort levels. I didn't like him, but that was just because I thought he was a bad player, not for the want of trying, or I just didn't think he was very good. But he's whatever Eddie Howe and the backroom staff's done. He's came sort of the back end of last season. He's a completely different player. So 100% before Christmas, I would have took him to the airport. Now, I genuinely think he's probably the best backup option we've got in terms of sort of across the back four. So for me, no brainer, keep him. Which
Mark?
is ridiculous to say.
Mark, do you agree?
Yeah, you can't underestimate what Emil Kraft did in the second part of this season. Obviously, when Trippier picked up his injury and Kraft just came in and he was magnificent. Some of them games he was absolutely outstanding, and a lot of the time kind of went unnoticed because everybody else was grabbing the headlines. But he's had a great second half to the season. But you go back before that, and he was probably the second worst player I've seen on that St James's Park pitch this season, behind that bloke that's in the bottom right hand corner.
Me. Also, unreal performance he did.
So, it's you've got to keep him. He's going to be that backup to Trippier, isn't he? Now, another question may be, will he be happy with that after the second half of the season that he's had? Might he want to have more than that? And maybe he might look to see, well, if somebody comes in for us, I might go and move away. And then if that's the case, then does that then push Mankiel back up the pecking list and means he stays? So those two are pretty interchangeable. But I think given the choice, I think Kraft stays.
He's got a year left on his contract, Chris. Would you give him an extension, or would you just let him see that out? Yeah.
6 year contract.
He's earned it. He's earned it. I think I kind of disagree with what Mark's saying. I don't think Kraft will want to leave if he's not getting first team football. I think he's going to be the type of player that's going to be happy to sit behind the scenes and be part of this project, even if he is second choice. He's going to get game time. Of course he is. He'll get it in the cups, depending on how long we stay in the cups. But of course he's staying, and he deserves it. Of course he does.
Cool. So we'll keep him.
I think as well.
Did Sweden qualify for the World Cup?
I don't know either. I couldn't say that. But he's their first choice. Like he's always playing for them. So whether he plays for us or not, he kind of always gets in that side. So I don't think he's got much competition in the international side for that.
If you look at the competition that he's...
Oh, actually, yeah, they did. I think they did. Sweden qualified. Oh, no. I can't figure it out.
I don't think that is,
Poland qualified and Sweden missed out.
Because that might have been another factor in it. That if it was the World Cup season, is he wanting to put himself? And I know he gets picked anyway, but
if you look at,
it's one of those ones where you just want to make sure you're playing week in, week out.
I think if it was anyone else in the, say if he was going to play a second fiddle, two-man queue, then maybe. But I think he's level-headed enough to know that he's behind Kieran Trippier, who's obviously England international, won La Liga, well, obviously not last season, season before. So I think he's probably he's got his head on his shoulders enough to know, like, yeah, I'm not that good. But yeah, definitely keep him. But
he does have Trippier. He does have Trippier to sponge off as well in terms of learning how he plays his game, and it's not a bad mentor, is it? Considering Trippier's no spring chicken himself in terms of age, he's got a few years on craft, so that experience alone is invaluable. If you were looking to move on next season,
single Premier League game next season either,
guaranteed.
He won't play every single team, every single game. Kraft will get plenty of chances next season, not just in cup games.
Excellent.
Especially when we're going to have all of those cup games this season to play as well, in the League Cup and FA Cup, getting to the finals of both of those competitions.
Yeah, we kind of win them with one left back, one right back, can you? Right, moving on. The next three, I think, are pretty much no-brainers. I think they're all keep. We've got Fabian Schär, Kieran Trippier and Matty Targett. Definitely Trippier and Targett I'm going to put up there without any discussion because they've only just come in, especially Targett.
Get them and keep. Yeah.
Shaw as well. Anyone? No, I didn't think there would be.
Conversation about Fabian Shaw. I love Fabian May. I love that he's a great defender. I love that he's unreal to look at, and he's an absolute shithouse.
He is a bit, isn't he?
It's a bit of a dream back four, isn't it? In terms of looks, they're a bit of a looker, aren't they? Speaking of a wet dream, Paul Dummett.
Videos.
Yes, the medical one. They exposed a bit of what goes on in the medical, which I found quite interesting. But yes, Paul Dummett, he's just signed a 1-year contract.
Quite ripped, wasn't he?
He's just signed a 1-year contract to Paul Dummett. I think we keep him. I don't think anyone would particularly want to keep him, but I don't think he. I didn't get it either.
I don't.
Is it a testimonial thing? Like, does this give him a testimonial? Is it his 10-year?
Possibly, but the only thing I can think of is that he's just there for the transition period of what's happening with the club and things happening behind the scenes. That's the only thing I can think of. I don't even think he'll get a squad number.
No,
I honestly don't think he'll get a squad number.
Yeah, very funny one.
I don't get it.
But we're obviously keeping him because we wouldn't have given him a contract unless we loan him. I can't see us doing that for a loan.
Then indicated with Dan Langley.
You go next season. So we're all in agreement with Dummett. We'll put him on in a keep pile as a begrudging keep in terms of
peculiar keep. Yeah,
peculiar keep. One who maybe is a bit more of a conversation is Matt Ritchie. I've got him as a defender because that's what he's been playing for the last few seasons. For me, it's a sell. I mean, he's been such a good servant to the club. He's been such a good player, but I think we saw last season, or the season before even, his legs had gone, even to play at left back. Like, he just wasn't. I think it was a Cristiano Ronaldo had his life. Or was it Bruno? Anyway, someone, I think it was a Man U player, had just had his life for one game last season, and you could just see that. I think even he realised then, it's like, okay, maybe this isn't for me. I think a sell is probably the best option for everybody involved. I don't think he'd want to go on loan unless it's to go back to Burnley. Bournemouth, yeah. Bringing Ritchie to Bournemouth.
Bournemouth just been promoted as well, haven't they?
Yeah. To have, so I can't even see them even wanting him, to be honest, unless it's for the squad and the nostalgia. Yeah. Ian, are you in agreement with getting rid of Ritchie?
Yeah, I think, to be honest, again, he's been a terrific servant. He's given us some really entertaining times as well. Like I remember I think it was against Spurs, Christian Atsu blocked a shot, and rather than just say well done, he literally booted him up the arse. So, and obviously the corner flags, loved him kicking them to bits. He has given us some good moments, but I think where the club's going, you need to get rid of sentiment. And he was bought in the Championship, which was, I think, 6-7 seasons ago now.
6
seasons ago. You're looking at, I reckon, probably 2 seasons ago you should have got rid of him.
Yeah.
like you say, it's unfortunate, but it's you need to be ruthless now with what the actual vision for the club is. So he's a terrific servant, but time to move him on.
Yeah, I think the only thing that might go against that is he's only got a year left on his contract. So is anyone going to come in and pay money with the potential that you get him on a free next season?
It'll be similar to likes of Mankiw and Fernandez. I think any sort of offer that comes in, he'll go. I don't think we'll bother about bringing that much money in because we're not going to be bringing a lot of cash in for those players. I think it'll be more like getting them off the wage bill. And any sort of offer that comes in, I think Matt Ritchie will be gone.
Are you in agreement, Mark?
I prefer not to speak.
I'll take that as a yes.
This one is...
You've got to be ruthless, Mark.
It's even worse than Fernandez because Matt Ritchie has been a long-term favourite of mine. I've loved every minute of having him at the club. Like you say, coming in the Championship, I think the disrespect that Matt Ritchie has had in the last kind of 12 to 18 months has been absolutely shocking because he went into left back to cover in a position that he doesn't play. He's never played, and he went in there and he did a fantastic job.
Fantastic.
He did in that first season when he played there, not season gone, season before. He was brilliant at left back, and he was the only choice we had in that position at the time. He's a right winger. That's what we've got to remember. He's a right winger. Yes, he hasn't got the legs to do that role anymore, but what he brings to you on the field, off the field is worth its weight in gold. He's an absolute, the amount of respect, the amount of graft, and what he demands from the other players on that pitch. Like Ian's just been saying there, his reaction to tackles, to goals and stuff like that. He just rags everybody around. He screams at them. He's a little maniac, and he makes everybody give 10% more than they're given just by being there and shouting and screaming. And I think he's worth his weight in gold. And I think Eddie Howe probably thinks the same. Yes, he might not get a lot of games if he does stay, but to have that around about the place and in the dressing room and on the training pitch, I think is worth more than letting him, just go away. But if an offer comes in, maybe they would let him go. But the only club he wants to go back and play for is Portsmouth. He's made that clear. He said that's his boyhood team. He wants to finish his career at Portsmouth. So could Portsmouth afford him? I can't think so. So maybe if he does get another move, maybe a move back down south somewhere and then have a season or two somewhere and then finish up at Portsmouth in his late 30s. But yeah, he's been one hell of a servant for this club, and I think he needs more respect on his name than he's been getting in the last 12 months.
So are you keeping him? Are you keeping him?
Where you putting him then?
I would keep him, but I can see why people would let him go.
But not what we're letting him go. Where do you think the club?
Yeah, where do the club?
Do you think the club will keep him, or do you think the club will sell him?
Yeah, I'm saying, like I say, I think Eddie Howe will value what he can bring to that squad. Maybe not, as I say, in his playing ability and stuff like that, but even this season, he's came on and had cameos from the subs bench and.
But the way I look at that, Mark,
round out games, but
we can't have too many cheerleaders here. Like, Paul Dummett's going to be a cheerleader behind the scenes. We can't have Richie being a cheerleader as well. Like, we're going to have the same argument with Longstaff in a minute. Like, we're going to have a full squad of cheerleaders at the minute. I think the club will be ruthless, and I think Matt Ritchie will be one of those ones where he'll go, thank you very much, you've been absolutely fantastic, a great servant of the football club. We wish you all the luck for the future. Time to move on. Next.
I'm not so sure.
Am I getting in the bin next?
I mean, next is Kieran Clark. So, Chris, do you want to just...
Next. Do you know what he is? He needed that chair. That just is giveaway.
Although, the best thing he did... 2 points on him. So, first one, best thing he ever done was get sent off against Norwich because that then uncovered the best midfield player in the world in Joe Linton.
Great.
But I also seen a stat that he's played as many games as Miggy Almiron
Yeah, I saw
in the
this.
Premier League and scored more.
Yeah,
He's got one more goal and the same number of assists, hasn't he?
He scored a lot in two seasons ago, I think it was, at the start of that season. He scored a few goals at the very start. But do you know what it is? Kieran Clark, he's had some great performances. He really has. But
Again,
he's
championship.
had some absolute shocking ones as of late. So it's a no-brainer, and categorically out of everybody there, he's one that goes.
Yeah.
I agree. Cool. Well, just like before when we had Trippier, Target and Share, we've all now got Big Dan Burn, and I think there's no discussion even had there because he has just come in.
Love him.
So moving on to the last defender of the list.
I've said it a lot, but he's really, really surprised me, like with how good he's been.
Yeah.
I think he went under the radar.
I didn't think he was as good. Yeah.
Yeah, under the radar, Brighton, which is hard to do when you're, 6'20" or whatever it was.
6'12".
6'12", yeah.
Sorry, Laura.
I'm not. But we're moving on to more of a one for the future in Callan Watts. Well, even maybe it's for the present. He's been out on loan past few seasons. Obviously, he was in the training video today. Iain, I'll come to you. What would you do with Callan Watts?
You know what it is? I haven't seen much of him. Obviously, I'm aware he's come through sort of the academy and he's been out on loan. I think Premier League is a completely different animal, and I've seen sort of the reviews that he's had. Was it Wigan that he was at last season?
I believe so, yeah.
Wigan. Yeah.
In Plymouth as well.
Wigan were League One. I'd still say there's a massive, even between League One and Championship, I think there's a massive step up. So I would look to loan him out, but to a Championship side to see if he can progress with his ability in the Championship. But hopefully, definitely one for the future. But for me, no brainer, loan him out, but to a better standard.
Yeah. I'm in agreement with that one. I think get him on the Championship, see what he can do there, or even, to one of the lower Premier League clubs and see if he can have a bit pop performance. But I suppose you'd want him to play every game, so I think Championship is probably the right place for him. Mark, are you in agreement with that, or do you just want rid?
I'd probably, again, it's that whole sentimental. He's came through the academy and into the under 23s, etc. But he's 22-year-old now. He's been out on loan twice. Has he got a future at this club? I doubt it.
See, I didn't realise he was that old.
Yeah, Sven Botman's came in. He's 24. He's 2 years older than him.
That's what I mean.
30-odd million quid for him.
A lot of people say this, he's a young lad, sent him out on loan. By the time he gets back from loan, he's going to be pushing 24.
Yeah,
that's not him going to get a start at Newcastle at that age.
That's peak career, that really, isn't it?
I think Kel Watts will be one of the ones that'll stick around the academy once again, just for the transformation in the academy, because we've already seen that they're bringing players in now to go into the under 23 setup. Yeah, he'll be there for the next couple of years. Probably will try and loan him out, but unfortunately he's not going to get a start. And the trajectory that this club is going on, he's not going to be a part of that.
So would you sell Kris?
Fuck yeah, like on that.
Minimum is a loan, isn't it?
Yeah, I think loan for me.
Yeah, I don't even think. What were you going to achieve by loaning him out? We're not going to achieve anything doing that. So I think if he doesn't go out on loan, he'll just drop into the under 23s and he'll make the bench in cup games, or if we're injury stricken, that's it. Unfortunately he's not going to be part of the project.
There's too many people ahead of him.
Yeah. Okay, so I'll do a round of votes because I've lost track of who said what there. So Mark, keep or sell, or loan?
Sell. Yeah. It's better for him. Sell it.
Yeah. Iain?
You're relying on somebody coming in who wants to buy him. That's the other thing. So it's whether or not we just let him go on a free or something like that, or just go for a small amount. but you'd think he walks into a League One fight, surely.
Yeah.
Not realising that he was 22, I think that swayed my mind. I think probably because I genuinely thought he was a lot younger. But like the lads were saying, he's going to come back. He's going to be sort of where he would be peak age, and there's still 3-4 players in front of him. So probably sell. I've changed my mind. Sell.
Cool. And Kris, you're a sell as well, right?
Sell, yeah.
Yep.
Sell.
Okay.
Like, you could have just lied and said, "Oh, he said me mum's pasta bake was shite one time." Sell him.
Sell, Kel.
Sell Cal. So that is the keepers and the defenders. We're going to end it there, and we're going to do a second episode where we cover the midfielders and the attackers. Thanks everybody for watching. Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Kris. Thank you, Iain. It's been a pleasure. I've really enjoyed it. If you like this content, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the little bell underneath that subscribe button. It costs you absolutely nothing to do that, but it helps us in ways you would never imagine. If you do want to become a member, it's $2.99 a month to join the Gallowgateshots members. That gives you access to the Telegram group. It also gives you access to early access videos and exclusive content. It helps us out as well with upgrades to the studio and to the streams. That's it for this episode. Like I said, we've all had a nice little chat about who stays, who goes. Join us in the next one where we will cover the defence and the attack. Say goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Goodbye, everybody.